we are going to be showing you what we did while we were gone.
While we were gone, yeah. Since the last video?
Yeah, since the last video.
Yeah. So basically it did all this off camera because it had to 3D print some pieces. Particularly, if you can see this, there's a spacer underneath the servo here, the shift servo. And this is a high-tech H70 MG. I don't know if the camera's focusing on that or not, but that's the shift servo. And I didn't want to use the Spectrum one, and the Spectrum one came with these spacers right here and the adapters for the servo, and it came with these different arms. But I needed one of these pieces to be able to model up one to 3D print because I needed to make it fit this servo, and the servo's got a different size gear on it than what this is.
Yeah.
So anyway, I ordered this set just to get that to model it. And anyway, this is what the 3D printed one looks like. This was a taller version that I made, and I ended up printing a shorter one. But the spacer underneath here was what was needed to get the shifter arm in the correct position this way, so it sit on top of this shifter arm properly. And then I printed this adapter so it just snaps down on there, and it works pretty good. But we got the Tekken, or Tekken, it's called Tekken.
Oh,
I keep saying Tekken because of the game. Remember the game Tekken?
Oh yeah.
The fighting game.
Actually, we went to the movies while I was at my mom's, and like, since you said like fighting game, we went to the arcade at the movies, and go to Regal Movies in Indiana.
Indianapolis.
Indianapolis. It's a pretty cool place. And we went to the arcade, and there's this very, very old arcade game. And me and my brother played a couple rounds, and it just gave us infinite rounds.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
What was it called? Do you know?
I don't remember, but
Mortal Kombat or Tekken?
No, it wasn't like a Tekken thing, but it had like a bunch of character selections. One of the best characters I used all the time was called Lee.
Oh.
Yeah, so.
Oh, that sounds like could be any one of them. Yeah. Street Fighter.
No, it's not Street Fighter because there's a bunch
Tekken
of
has a character named Lee in it, I believe.
Oh, so it must be Tekken.
Might have been. But anyway, the Tekken is mounted on a 3D printed plate here, and I made I modeled in a mount for the switch right there. So the switch is sitting there. I don't have the screws in it yet, but I don't know if I really even need them because it sits in there pretty snug. So, but we got the hot wire, and I plan on leaving this hooked up in here in case we want to change settings on the fly. Maybe later I'll take it out if I decide I'm not going to be using it that much, but we've got that all stuck on there with double-sided tape. And we're using the FlySky GT5 transmitter. It's a 6-channel, and we control the servo, the shift servo, with this lever right here. There's kind of a neutral, and there's first gear, and there's second gear. And I gotta say, this transmission shifts really well once you get the shifter fork put in there properly. I actually had it flipped in there backwards, and I had to take it all back apart and take that shifter fork out and flip it around.
Yeah. There's
a detail in the book, in the manual, that tells you pay special attention, and that usually applies to orientation of the part, if it can be flipped around backwards or not. And on the shifter fork, let me find it here. This is another one of those things in the manual that's not good. There should be one of those icons on this, because I don't know if you can see that or not, but on the back side of this little hole here, this collar for the shifter arm rests in a counterboard, and you can't see it on this picture, and it doesn't show it here either. So this picture really needs to have this icon on there, the exclamation mark, to pay special attention to the orientation, but it doesn't. So we had that in backwards, and that prevented it from going into first gear properly. So if you build the Ryft transmission, the 2-speed transmission, and you notice it's not going into first gear very good, it's probably because you have this shifter arm backwards, shifter fork. So, but that's where we're at on the build so far. Oh, and we got the Tekin T440 servo finally showed up after our last video, and I got that mounted in here. And right now we don't have a BEC mounted on this, and I'm probably going to get the Castle 10 amp and mount it over here. I might even reprint the shifter plate or the ESC plate to hold on to it.
Yeah, I think you need to go to a mad scientist for them to get that word Tekin out of your head. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I'm so used to saying Tekken. I used to play Tekken at a bowling alley in Terre Haute, and I had the high score on there for about a year or two.
Really?
It was a long time that it was up there.
Like the global leaderboard?
No, just on that arcade machine in that bowling alley.
Oh.
Because I used to go there and play pool a lot. They had like 18 tables, pool tables, and that's where everybody hung out back when I was young. Mm. But when Tekken first came out, that's what I played. I played that game so much. But yeah, this is a beefy servo. It's got like 500 ounces per inch of torque at 8.4 volts. But right now we're just running it at 6 because, and this is one thing to note, if you're setting up an ESC with a shift servo and you've got a steering servo, you want to make sure that you're not overpowering your shift servo, because this will handle 8.4 volts, and this will only handle 6 volts. So if I set this to 8.4 volts, it would probably fry this servo immediately as soon as we turned it on.
Yeah.
So that's why we got to get a BEC, and we'll hook the BEC up and power the servo off of it just by using, the power positive and negative lead will run to the BEC, and that'll give this 8.4 volts, and the ESC will send 6 volts to the shift servo. So, but that's where we're at right now. Oh, I wanted to mention the fan for the ESC. It's supposed to plug in where the hot wire plugs in. So instead of plugging it in there, because I want to keep the hot wire plugged in all the time, I just cut the connector off because it's actually got a smaller type JR connector on it. I just cut the connector off and soldered on another JR from a shifter or a servo extension lead. So, but that's where we're at. So we'll see you in the next video. We're going to be putting the links on. We got all the links here, and installing the axles and getting this thing buttoned up. And we still got to paint. I had to modify this to fit around that ESC. So, but we're going to get this painted black, and we're going to paint the side panels black and the top panel black.
He looks like the Headless Horseman.
Remember, we got the heads dyed from that one video.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's where we're at. We'll see you in the next video.
The reason why this video is so short is because we don't think anybody watches our hour-long videos. So yeah.
Yeah, the build videos can get pretty boring just watching somebody build something, but I like watching them. So we'll continue to put the build videos up. If you want to watch them, you can. If you don't, they're there for reference. You can go back and see.
They're also there for
how we screw up putting stuff together.
Yeah, and for you guys to screw up too, and yeah.
All right, we'll see you later.
Bye. Have a good day. And like and subscribe. Yeah. I forgot my lines. No.
See ya.